If you don't understand how administration works, you could miss a legal opportunity to protect the company. If you get it wrong, it could be game over. Now, if you get it right, it could be the strategic reset that saves your business. Because administration isn't failure, it's protection. It's the pause button that could give your company the chance to survive. I had a client recently who was drowning in debt. There was rent arrears, there was supplier claims, HMRC were chasing really hard, and he used administration strategically. It paused creditor action immediately. He was able to renegotiate leases, and then he sold the viable part of the business in something called a pre-pack. All jobs were saved. And he said to me, he says, Chris, I wish I'd have known about this option months ago. So that is exactly why I'm making this video, to show you what administration really is and how it really works. So let's start. What is company administration? Well, administration is a formal insolvency procedure, and it is designed to rescue or restructure a company that can't pay its debts. Now, the moment it's approved and an administrator takes the appointment, they take control of the company. And it's not always to shut it down. It could be to stabilise the company, protect it from legal action, and decide whether or not it could be saved, sold, or wound down in an orderly manner. Now, the biggest benefit of administration is something called a moratorium, okay? And that's the legal protection that you get from being in administration. It stops creditors, it stops landlords, and it stops HMRC from taking enforcement action. So when you're in administration, there can be no bailiffs, there can be no winding up petitions. It can give you a breathing space, okay? And right now in 2025, 2026, this process is even faster. You can literally file a document on the court's e-filing system and you can be in administration within 24 hours through a licensed insolvency practitioner. Remember, my name's Chris Worden. I'm from Director First. If you want somebody to speak to about administration today, go into the comment section, click on that link at the top. One of my team will call you today. Free, independent and impartial advice. No strings, no obligation. So let's talk about what the goals of administration are. Because to be able to go into administration, you need to satisfy one of these three things. There are three legal objectives of an administration. Now, let's dive into them. First one is rescue the company as a going concern. You know, this is the best case scenario. You go into administration, the administrator decides that this business can be saved, it's traded for a while, and then it exits administration. It could be via a company voluntary arrangement where you're in administration, the business has got, a future, but a CVA, which is where you put all the company's debts in a pot and essentially pay them over an extended period of time, generally 5 years. That's the best case scenario for the business. Another objective of an administration is to achieve a better result for creditors than a liquidation would. So if you think about this, I don't know, you've got a business, you've had a valuation done, it's worth about 15,000 quid. Well, it's very hard to justify an administration in that scenario because it's highly likely you get £15,000 for the business in a liquidation. But the idea of administration is you will get a better return for creditors by the company going into administration than it would just be, sold at a fire sale in a liquidation scenario. Now, if a full rescue isn't possible, an administration can sell parts of the business, okay? That can preserve jobs and it can pay back more to creditors, okay? Now, another reason why you would put a business into administration is to realise assets that would pay secured or preferential creditors, okay? So by going into administration and selling assets of the business, you can pay back the charge holder or you can pay back more to HMRC, okay? Because again, if a company can't be saved, an administrator will try and sell assets and distribute those proceeds accordingly, right? Now remember, regulators are going to look at the insolvency practitioners, and they're going to have to, this administration has to be justified which objective that they're meeting, okay? There's no like best effort claims. You can't just use an administration to actually get some breathing space and while you figure it out. It's got to meet one of these objectives, okay? So there are steps to administration. So the administration process step by step. First of all, you have to appoint an administrator, and this is the licensed insolvency practitioner. They are appointed by the directors, okay? Or they can be appointed by a charge holder or by a court. Now, once appointed, the insolvency practitioner becomes the administrator, and they control all the company decisions, okay? You as a director, your powers are suspended immediately. Now, remember, I'm not an insolvency practitioner. I'm the #1 company for director advisory, okay? So we help you make the best decisions for you while playing by the rules, okay? Step 2, once you've appointed the administrator, well, that's when the moratorium begins, okay? What moratorium is it's when all creditor action's frozen. HMRC can't wind you up, your suppliers can't wind you up, landlords can't turf you out once you're in administration. They can't take you to court or seize assets. Now, this moratorium usually lasts 8 weeks initially, but it can be extended by court or creditor extent. Now, step 3 is the business review. An administrator will review the finances, contracts, lease and debts, and they're going to look at it and go, well, can this business be rescued? Can it be sold? Can it be sold on the open market, or can it be sold as part of a pre-pack? Or actually, can we not do anything here and it needs to move to liquidation? Now, once this has been decided, and obviously it might have been sold as part of a pre-pack, or it might have been sold as on the open market, but the next step is to send proposals out to creditors, and this needs to be done within 8 weeks. An administrator has got to send these proposals to the creditors outlining the plan, okay? Now, it's very, very important that the administrator does it in this timescale, and it's basically letting creditors know what is about to happen. And then step 5 is the outcome and the exit. And there are 3 main outcomes that we've touched on. Obviously, rescue and trading on. Now, this isn't done very often, and I'll tell you why. Insolvency practitioners don't like trading companies. And the reason why is there's a lot of risk to that insolvency practitioner if they decide to try and trade this administration. I mean, one of the big risks is they become personally liable for any debts that are actually incurred during the administration. What happens a lot of the time is something called a pre-pack sale. And that's where the assets and goodwill, they're sold quickly. And it's generally to the new owners are generally the old management. Now, the way that a pre-pack works is before you appoint an administrator, they will initiate getting an agent to value the business. And once they've done the valuation, they'll look to market the business on the open market. And that could be through advertisements, it could be online, they could have a list of buyers for that business. And the marketing period will generally last sort of 5 to 10 business days, and it's where people can come in and make an offer for your business. And this is the part where directors get really worried that they will lose their business. Somebody will come in and buy it from under their noses. And although this is a risk, the chances are if you are an owner-operated business, then the business needs you to operate. It really does diminish the value of that business to anyone other than you. But at the end of the marketing period, that is where you can make your offer to the agent. You will get an evaluator also to step in. This is a third party to check your offer, to check that this meets the objective of an administration, and essentially signs off on your offer. Now, once that's done, the business goes into administration, and in a pre-pack, the first job of the administrator is to sell the assets of the business back to you or the successful party, and that's done with solicitors. Now, if all of these rescue options fail, it ends up in liquidation. The business will convert it to liquidation and essentially it'll be sold in a fire sale. Now, like I say, I touched on pre-pack administration. This is done very, very regularly. And just to go over what a pre-pack is again, it's when the sale of a business or its assets, they're arranged essentially before the administrator is appointed, and it's completed immediately after. And in this scenario, this is where you can save jobs, you can save brand value, and it does wipe out unsecured creditor debts. Now, there's been a lot of reforms around pre-packs. So any pre-pack sales to a connected party, obviously like an existing director, it will be reviewed by an independent evaluator. The report is public, and what it says is designed to stop abuse and ensure that the sale process is fair. So if you do it properly, a pre-pack can save everything that matters, staff, customers and future trade, without the mess of liquidation. Now, what you should expect as a director in administration is obviously you're going to lose control of the company during administration, but your cooperation is going to be essential. You've got to comply with the administrator. And directors who do comply, they provide information quickly and they communicate openly, generally can keep the credibility intact, and it helps the process run smoothly. But there are risks to administration. Not everyone talks about it. The administrator is going to check for overdrawn directors' loan accounts. That's where, remember, a director owes money to the company, and once the administrator is appointed, one of their jobs is to try and realise some money for creditors. So they're going to come to you as a director and ask you to pay that back. So you've got to be really careful with overdrawn loan accounts. Now, the first thing is, it's ideal if you don't have one, but a lot of you watching this video will have one. So the next best thing to not having one is to understand what yours is. Now, the best way to do that is to look on your management software, be it QuickBooks, Xero, Free Agent, Sage, whatever it is, and pull off a trial balance. And in your trial balance, it will show a director's loan account in credit or in debit. Now, that's only if you've got this management information and it's updated regularly. If you don't have any balance sheet or profit and loss and you're relying on your last set of accounts, well, that's a real bad position to be in. Because remember, your accounts are just a snapshot of your business one day in the past. But if that's all you've got to work with, you want to go back to your last set of accounts, have a look in the assets section. It could be under the debtors section. Remember, debtors is money that's owed into the company, including you as a director. Or there might be a section that says director's current accounts. But if you find out what your director's loan account was in your last set of accounts, and if you've continued to take money out of that business since those last set of accounts as anything other than salary, remember, salaries through the payroll. So if you're taking dividends or you're taking drawings that are not salary, there's a bloody good chance that your director's loan account has gone up. If you're worried about your director's loan accounts, we'll help you understand. We'll help you prepare for this. Go into the comment section, click the link. One of my team will call you today. Another thing that an administrator is going to check is preference payments. And that is sort of payments that you're making once the business has become insolvent. Remember, once you can't afford to pay your debts on time, or your liabilities are more than your assets, you've got to be really careful who you pay. And paying like friends and family, or paying personally guaranteed debts towards the end before you appointed the administrator, is going to cause you to be criticised. They're also going to look at reckless and wrongful trading. You know, were you continuing to rack up supplier debts even though you knew you were insolvent with no hope of recovery? Did you continue to take customer deposits and you knew there was no hope of you ever being able to fulfill that job? These things are going to land you in hot water. And they're also going to check for if any assets are missing. Any assets are missing. You know, have you tried to sell assets cheap out the back door? Have you tried to conceal assets from the administrator? Now, if you've acted responsibly, There isn't nothing to fear. But you try and hide information. You try and hope people that, people won't find out about things like transaction undervalues, preference payments, or overdrawn directors' loans. It's impossible for this stuff not to be found out. Because remember, every payment, every email, every transaction, it's traceable now. Now, there is an opportunity in all of this. Because if you handle it properly, an administration can protect you from things like wrongful trading claims. Because you're acting responsibly. It can give you a clean start to start again. Again, it's not the end. It can be seen as a strategic reset. Now, what you've got to do here, I'm going to give you a bit of a playbook of how to act. I mean, first one, act early. Don't wait for creditors to force your hand. Timing is everything. The minute you become insolvent, and the minute you know in your heart of hearts, listen, this is not going to get better. I'm not going to get back on my business, back on it's a firm financial footing. You've got to pick the phone up. Someone like me or someone else, just pick the phone up and get some advice. Because the earlier you seek advice, the more options you've got. Number two, when you're going in to get this advice, have accurate information, a full list of creditors, an updated balance sheet, a profit and loss. Go to people who can help you with information that's going to help them help you. Number three, choose the right firm, okay? Not everyone out there is the right firm for you. I suggest you speak to more than one person. Check their reviews. Go and check the reviews of Director first. They will blow you away. We have, I think, over 600 reviews that blow out the water any other firm in the UK. We have a wealth of experience, okay? But you've got to choose the right firm for you. And that involves picking the phone up, talking to them, and asking as many questions as you can. Number four, communicate constantly. And that's with staff and with creditors, okay? You can't just bury your head in the sand with creditors, because if you do, they may force your hand and wind the company up. And number five, treat admin as a strategy. It's not failure, I promise you. It's about protecting value, okay? Administration doesn't always mean the end of your business. It means that you've acted responsibly and you've decided to stop letting the problems run the business for you, okay? So what is company administration? It's a legal process that allows your company to be saved if there's something in there worth saving, or at least protect the value you've got. Now, it's fast, you can move quickly, there is transparency so everybody realizes it's a fair process. It's more efficient, okay? And the directors who understand it can use it to their advantage. If your business is under pressure, it can be creditors, HMRC or the bank, and you think administration might be the right option for you, contact us at Director First today. We will explain the process and we will help you find a strategy that works before it's too late. Now, if you found this video useful and you want to know more about administration, go and watch that video there. It's going to tell you everything about pre-packs, how you can value your business, how you can buy the business back, and how you can even get terms with the insolvency practitioner to pay it over time. Go and watch that video now. Thank you.